Hello, and welcome again to Hot Flashes and Cool Chats. So, I started these conversations because through my work as a midlife concierge and the community I'm building, Mamas in Menopause, I meet so many amazing people who are passionate about supporting women in midlife. So, this chat series is my way of introducing them to you so you can hear their stories, get to know them personally, and learn about the products, the services, and the resources that they offer so we can make this season a little lighter, a little brighter, a little easier for all of us. So today I am welcoming again Dr. Neal Patel. Thank you for being here again. Second time, we're going to do more, just so you know. But he is a specialist in functional wellness that we talked about, but he's also an expert in brain health. And so Dr. Patel helps women navigate the cognitive changes, whether it's our mood swings, our stress challenges, and all the things that arise during this midlife and this beautiful thing we call menopause. So first time when we chatted, we learned about your four pillars. We learned about nutrition, exercise, stress, and sleep. And we want to take these pillars and go a little bit deeper and have this conversation on how these pillars really support women as they are protecting and optimizing brain health, sharpen our mental clarity, and ways that we can feel a little bit more resilient every day. So with that, welcome, Dr. Patel. Thanks for coming on and sharing time with us again. So tell us again, remind the ones that maybe didn't watch you the first time, a little bit about you and how you serve women in midlife.
Great. Thanks again for having me, Meredith. It's been always fun to be on your podcast. As you mentioned, I'm a doctor here in Southern California. I have a private practice in the city of Orange. I serve all adults. My focus is primarily on geriatrics. I see a lot of women who are either transitioning into menopause or fully menopausal. So I see a lot of different complaints and symptoms that they present with.
Yeah. And that because of your practice, obviously in geriatrics, this cognitive space, you speak often, and this space is very familiar to you. So I figured this would be a really good way for us to kind of understand what's going on with us, right? So we're in this stage of life, our memory is changing. We think things that were so easy to remember. We always contributed to just have a lot on our plate, but maybe something else is happening. Focus, our mental clarity, all this is going on with us. So we just kind of want to have a better understanding on what's happening to our brain during menopause that's causing these shifts.
Yeah, it's tough. We always say, "Hey, how come I feel this way? How come I'm not remembering things? I've never had this issue before." It's like, well, I hate using age as a reason, but sometimes the wear and tear of the body, just like you drive the same car for
Mm.
50, 60 years, hey, I never had that dent there. How come it all of a sudden happened? Things happen. For specifically for women, especially going through menopause, the master hormone that changes or you stop producing is estrogen. So as you know, estrogen basically controls a lot of different functions for women. Once they get into menopause, you basically have no estrogen production. That can lead to a lot of different changes. And that, of course, includes changes in sleep patterns. Sometimes your mood can get affected. For women who are affected by hot flashes, they might feel those symptoms. So all these combined can increase a woman's risk for what they call brain fog. It's not
Mm.
one specific thing or one thing that they did do or did not do that contributes to it. It's really like a multitude of symptoms over time.
Mm. Yeah, because I definitely feel like during perimenopause and menopause, our hormones are just shifting.
Mhm.
We're finding ourselves being more agitated, a little bit more irritable. Um, Cognitively, I think things are just slipping out of our brain, or we feel like, oh, we were supposed to do something, we just can't remember what it is. Um, I might have said mood already, I don't know, and our stress levels. So these hormonal changes that are happening, what exactly do we need to do, or how do we identify that we need to make some kind of shift or change, whether it's hormone replacement, whether it is some kind of nervous system support? What's our first indication? What's our red flags?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, number one thing is to be conscious of your own body and your mind. Sometimes we go through
Mm,
life living unconsciously. A lot of people don't even realize the patterns that they perform or repeat throughout their normal lives. So, a few things that come to mind is always if whatever you're going through is affecting your quality of life or your
mm,
ability to do what you regularly do, then that's usually the first red flag. If you start telling yourself, wait, this is not like me. Wait, why am I annoyed or why am I tired? So the fact that you are now consciously aware of that is like step one.
yeah.
Usually, of course, if you notice you're more tired, if your mood has changed, but more importantly, if maybe your loved ones or people around you have noticed a difference as well. You, of course, will probably notice if you're not able to remember things. Maybe your diet or appetite has changed as well. And some things that you notice, like, hey, that never bothered me, but now all of a sudden the one dish had a little bit of stuff left on after I washed it. Now that's driving me crazy. Why am I all of a sudden overreacting to X, Y, and Z? So those small, very subtle things are usually when I tell my patients to just make a note. And if it becomes an issue where it's like, we need to do something, obviously you let me know and then we move forward.
Interesting when you said that because what comes to my mind, and I know that I have those moments of, forgetfulness and you wonder like what is normal, what's not. But something that you just said kind of reminded me of something of my husband. And I feel like sometimes us women compare stories. And one of them is things like my husband being a little bit more particular
Mhm.
about things that maybe when we were younger, it wasn't as big of a deal. An example, let's just talk about one, the dishwasher. So I think, thankfully, I have a husband that is supportive around the house. So let me just give praise to him. He's amazing. Um, but where, we would just throw things in a dishwasher. Well, now if I put things in a dishwasher, I can tell if I go back, it's changed. It's been put in a different way because he prefers the dishwasher to be loaded a certain way. I am sure I probably do the same thing to him on different things. What do we do in those situations? Is some of that just normal? Is some of that maybe something I should think about or we should discuss?
Well, you'd be surprised how something as ordinary or routine as a dishwasher can lead to actual arguments and big deal. So communication obviously is key. I think more than that being menopausal related, that might just be more just communicating different things, right? He may not know the way you like it, you may not know or expect him to understand. So step one is don't get mad or don't break any dishes. And of course, step two is just talk that out. If you
Fair.
notice that sometimes that dishwasher or that sound example is something more telling for something more serious. So that is
Yeah.
where you got to do more of that inner work, where you sometimes have to sit down. I prefer people to sit down in silence for like 5 minutes and just say, "Hey,"
Hmm.
you mentioned the dishwasher. Say, "Why am I upset? Is it really because he's not organizing it this way, or is there something else going wrong?" So that might be,
Got it.
yeah,
So communication needs to be number one and not just think that there's red flags all over the place. Let's just figure out why does he like it this way? Maybe just, he's getting particular in his older age. So
exactly.
now let me ask you this. So then we've talked about the four pillars on the last talk. So we've got nutrition, exercise, stress, and sleep. So which of these do you think would have the most immediate effect on brain health and maybe why with some examples?
I would say the top two definitely nutrition and exercise. Like
Mm,
pretty quick turnaround because if you feed your body garbage, it does not take long for your body to realize it's being fed garbage. Number
yeah,
two, movement. It doesn't take a lot. It's almost instantaneous. If you exercise, you're like, oh wow, I feel better. I mean, I feel like for me, if I don't exercise, I feel antsy, I feel off my routine. So if
yeah,
I were to stratify the most bang for your buck, food, exercise. I don't want to neglect the stress and sleep, but those
yeah.
top two are there for a reason.
So kind of speaking to them though, because I think sometimes you can't have as much of control over it, maybe because stress, I mean, yes, you can maybe, do exercise or meditation or things to help it, but sometimes in life you don't have the direct
Right.
way to change that. Same thing as sleep, especially as our hormones are changing. There are nights where I think I'm going to get a great night's sleep and it's nothing I've done or something I could change, but I don't. And I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't get back to sleep. So with those that maybe you don't have as direct correlation to that changes, what do we do? How do we support ourselves with navigating or trying to support those our nervous system maybe better? What do we do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like I said, so sleep, stress, it's funny how it's all interrelated. If you eat
Yeah.
poorly, you might actually increase. I have patients who eat certain foods, they become anxious from the food.
Mm,
Obviously, if you don't exercise, you may become anxious, so that can increase stress. I know for me, usually if I exercise, I sleep better. So you see, it's kind of all like interrelated. But if you're just focused mainly on sleep, you know me, less pills, less surgeries, less doctors, the better. So a few
yeah.
things like actually for especially women, menopausal, sound therapy. So there's different
Mm,
sounds you can listen to that can fool your brain into a deep state of sleep. It's called
mm,
binaural beats. So there's certain like frequencies. And then lavender, a smell. So actually lavender, like oil, lavender incense, candles have actually been scientifically shown to help relax people and possibly help with sleep or
mm.
aromatherapy. So those are like simple things. And then of course you try all the other either supplements, sleep hygiene. The idea is you try small things and piecemeal because if you make huge overhauls in your habits, your routines, it might work, but then you may not know what part of it is actually doing the work.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So now, like, if we're bringing this back, to cognitive health, right? So, are there specific foods and supplements or any kind of like patterns you mentioned, habits of some sort that you would recommend to support us, our cognitive function during this time?
There's actually like a type of diet. If you're familiar with the Mediterranean diet, very well studied for heart disease. That's the only diet actually known at this time that's proven to help reduce your risk of heart disease. So the researchers and all the people who worked on it modified the Mediterranean diet to include a few different things, and it's called the mind diet, mind,
Mm,
which is more focused on brain health. So
mm,
basically, it's pretty similar. You obviously try to avoid like red meats, you try to eat fish, some lean meats. Only difference is the fruits are more berries for the mind and more nuts. So nuts
mhm,
and berries, antioxidants. Nuts have a lot of fats, which are good for brain energy. Those are
mm,
some two things that they say are different. So definitely, I would say food-wise, the mind diet is the most effective. In terms of supplements, there's a whole bunch of stuff on the TV, online, you name it. From what I would say, if you are going to focus on supplements, one that's gaining a lot of popularity is NAD, NAD plus.
NAD?
Yes, N as in
Okay.
Nancy, AD, NAD plus. It's basically like
Mhm,
a transporter. It helps to kind of regenerate the energy within the brain, kind of like an antioxidant.
mm.
So there are some studies now showing it can help. So that's one. What else do I recommend? In terms of being calm or being more mellow, theanine,
Mm.
L-theanine. Theanine it's a naturally forming amino acid and is found in green tea.
Ooh,
So
okay.
a lot of people who drink green tea, there's studies showing they're a little more calm. The reason is the theanine is the cause.
Good. Well, I like what you're saying because I feel like I'm following this diet. For the most part, I probably follow the mind diet. I eat a lot of berries and nuts, and I drink a lot of green tea. So you're saying everything right now. Let's keep on this. So
Yeah.
let's go to exercise.
Mhm.
What are maybe some of the main things to help in maintaining that mental sharpness, types of movement, maybe that might be most beneficial?
Yeah, honestly, right now the biggest thing is walking, right? I'm not a fan of walking just on its own, just because I feel like your body is, full of muscles. How many muscles are you really using when you're just walking? But
Hmm.
to make it clear, walking is probably the most effective for a lot of people, which is realistic. I'm a big believer in strength and resistance training. So
Yeah.
even like twice a week, if you're able to add some type of weights, resistance bands, for those who struggle with the time or maybe don't have access to the gym, I say, let's say you're walking, for example, wherever you walk, you can add wrist weights and ankle weights
Mm,
while you walk. And some people wear like a little backpack with a weighted backpack, a
yeah.
rucksack. Those things can at least put a little stress on your joints and put a little resistance.
Oh, I like that.
Hmm.
Keep talking because I'm doing things right. And this is making me super happy. Okay, let's
Yeah,
talk about stress as our one of our big culprits, right? So maybe some practical strategies that we
yes.
can do to protect our nervous system.
The best one, maybe the easiest or the hardest, depends on you, is I always say is do nothing. Silence.
Ooh,
Silence. I suggest I did this actually last week, interestingly. I have a bad habit. I always need to watch TV or something when I eat my meals. Always since I was
yes.
a kid. Last week, I ate my meal in complete silence. No food,
Mm,
not looking at my phone, no TV, and just sat with my food and whatever thoughts came out, came out. Honestly, I
yeah.
think forget all other tips outside of exercise and just kind of meditation, but just silence, honestly, because how
Mm,
often do we really hear our own heads? And
yeah.
a lot of times in that moment of silence, you might find the answers too, versus asking somebody or Googling the answer. Usually the answer is within. So
Yeah,
it's a very,
I love that. I find that I do give myself usually about 5 minutes in the morning. I don't do a long practice of meditation, but it's your brain does move and is thinking. You have to remind yourself to stop. But I do feel like that's when a lot of really amazing ideas are coming out. I'm assuming from the subconscious that are just like, listen to me already. You've been pushing me down for too long. So I love that. But that is a tip I need to take. I'm making my little notes here. That's a tip I need
yeah.
to take because I'm the same as you. When I am working, I'm busy. When I do stop for my lunch, I tend to pop open my phone and watch a little Netflix. I always have like one little silly 30-minute comedy that I can throw on while I'm eating lunch. But I'm gonna have to take your tip on that because I'm not doing that, and I think my brain needs to stop a little bit.
Mhm.
All right, sleep. So our sleep is declining. We know this. How is that affecting our brain, and what are maybe some top tips for improving what you call sleep hygiene?
Yeah, that's sleep is obviously a simple pleasure in life. I think we spend 30% of our lives sleeping, I would say. And of course, I give lectures on this. As we age in general, our sleep architecture is what they call it. It changes. That's
Mm.
why babies
Uh-huh.
sleep like what, 14, 16 hours a day. And then because the sleep is a lot of healing can take place, as we age, that part tends to get lower. The
Mm.
biggest thing, like you mentioned, sleep hygiene, as you know, less pills, less stuff, the better. Sleep hygiene, your bed or your room where you sleep should be cold, quiet, and dark. Those are the
Mm.
top three: cold, quiet, dark. Bed
Okay.
is only for sleep and sex. I have patients who either watch TV, they watch their iPad. Like, no, don't confuse your mind. Of course, with our screen time, if you're able to do no screen time about 30 minutes before, and that's when you either do your silence or you can read something where you're not being overly stimulated. And for supplements purposes, like I said, if you decide you need to go down that route, lavender, aromatherapy, that's step one. Binaural beats, Binaural, I want to say binaural. Those are things you can work with headphones. Like I said, that forces your brain into a certain state of activity.
Mm.
And then supplements, of course, theanine actually can calm you down. And then magnesium. There's like magnesium glycinate, magnesium threonate. Those are pretty commonly used to kind of mellow you out too.
Okay, got it. I definitely have a little bit of work to do on the in the sleep stage and cycle, but like realistically, because I know a lot of us have older kids that are off at college and things like that, that our phones, we are attached to them because we need to make sure, God forbid, there's an emergency. We don't have the home line that's ringing throughout the house that will wake us in an emergency. Because our even if you have your phone and the ringer's on high and it's in the other room, you could sleep right through it. So let's just be realistic on some of that. What do we do? What do us moms
Yeah.
do?
That's a great thing. So, yes, be realistic means yes, you got families, you got loved ones. That doesn't mean you have to get a notification for every app though that comes through, right?
Okay.
ESPN weather app, you don't have to get notified, right? Or oh, TMZ or something, whatever you got, whoever you look at, you don't have to get notified at 2 a.m. So the idea is there are settings, whether you have like an Apple phone or Android, there's ways where you can develop a list which is your favorites, so
Mm,
only those numbers actually ring. So for example, if you have somebody in college, your son or whatnot, if they call you in the morning, their number and their ringer will go through. But
mm,
if
yeah.
TMZ or some spam call calls you, it will go on do not disturb.
Okay, good. And the same thing for our aging parents, because a lot of us are kind of managing phone
Exactly.
calls, obviously, from both of those. And I guess my only concern is like, those emergency ones that
Mhm.
isn't my kid calling me, but
So
be mindful.
yes, exactly. So the whole point is you set up your favorites list. So those are the ones. But some people, it's hard. Going online, scrolling apps. Some people create child proof. They download
Mm.
child locks on their phone so they don't go on the apps, basically. So you limit your time.
That's fantastic. That is like I think the number one tip that I think I'm going to take today is give myself a child app and it can just lock me out if I'm on my phone for too many hours.
Yeah.
I'm not big on scrolling, but I'm always researching. I'm always finding different things and
Right.
I need to be present for my family. So
Right.
I love that tip. Kind of before we go, because I love everything you say, and this is why we always have to have more time. But like in this stage, we're worried about our long-term cognitive decline. What I love about our age is that unlike our parents who just are ignoring it, we want to be proactive.
Mhm.
So any warning signs, anything that we should do when should we get um, cognitive screenings or some kind of assessments earlier on, know a baseline? Tell me, what should we do?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I screen in my office, cognitive, just, what's the point of seeing a doctor? Why, who cares? Wait till everything breaks down. That's not the
Yeah.
point, right? Why do we do blood work? Why do we check? We check for the heart, we check for dental. What do we do to check for your mind? And so I'm a big believer in just screening. You only know if you test. And then of course, in terms of it's tough. A lot of people are at different phases of memory. Sometimes memory issues occur years before we're not even aware. So, luckily, the new science, all the research shows that a lot of Alzheimer's, dementia, memory issues are really in our hands. 40 to 45% of memory issues can be modified by our own habits, behaviors. Like we talked about
Yeah.
activity, diabetes, cholesterol. The whole point is nothing is guaranteed in life, but you want to give yourself the best chance and you want to tell yourself, hey, I did everything I could to have prevented myself. And that's like the exercise, the diet, the stress, and the sleep.
Mhm. Yeah, and be aware, be proactive in your
Mhm.
own health and be an advocate for yourself.
Right.
I love that. So before we totally wrap up, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I do have my office here in Orange, city of Orange. You can always reach out to our website, phantommed.com. I'm on all social media platforms right at this time, giving out some free education. You can follow me at Dr. Neal, Neal, and then H Patel at Dr. Neal H Patel.
I love it. I love everything that you're doing. I'm so appreciative. And like you're saying, you're giving free education, and that's really the goal right now is to be empowered by information and with reliable information. I think so much is coming our way, so we really appreciate that. And I love that you joined me again for Hot Flashes and Cool Chats. It's super fun to talk to you. Like I mentioned, this was part two. We already are booked for part three. So this is not the last we're going to see of you. And I'm just so grateful. Like your wisdom, your expertise, taking your time to share with us in the audience. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, everyone who watches and is finding value in these conversations. I'm having so much fun doing it. So keep watching and let me know what you want to hear. So and of course we'll put your contact information in the notes so people can get a hold of you and find you and all that good stuff. So thank you, everyone. And until next time, remember, you are not alone in this midlife journey. Here's to more hot flashes, cool chats, and meaningful connections. See you next time.